There are a lot of challenges actually nowadays or since last few years come up once you talk about data and security. So today my topic is on security lake. I'm running on through live Canva presentation. I hope it works on mobile. So I hope everything goes fine. Demo I recorded. If time permit, I'll demonstrate also recorded demo. So let's see. So my name is Nilesh Waghela. I'm AWS community hero. I have two companies, Electromac. We are AWS advanced partner, and a lot of AWS stuff we do actually. We are serving 200 plus partners, customers actually in various different domains. Primarily, we are focused in Gujarat. So I'm AWS community hero since 2017, and I have second company, CloudKida. That's, probably those who are attending workshop, they will come to know what is CloudKida. It's a typical name, but we have this company. So we thought once we have a good experience, why can't we create a good product? So it's a completely server-based, serverless product. So this is what we are actually implementing as one of our product called InvenSense, Security Lake. This is a model actually we are implementing, collecting data and analyzing it with Security Lake. Why we required Security Lake, and I'll talk more about agenda first. So this is our agenda, right? We'll try to understand what is Security Lake, what is the concept, how it comes, why we require Security Lake, what are the challenges probably, give us idea to something like Security Lake should be actually. And then we try to understand what is the architecture of Security Lake, and if time permit, I'll also demonstrate, right? So these are the three major challenges, right? One is growing data of security, growing volume of security data. Second is the data are there, but they are somewhat, slightly inconsistent as well as incomplete in terms of security and analysis. We'll try to understand what it is, each of three in slight, detail, so we can understand why security lakes are important. And lack of direct ownership of the data. This is very important point actually today, because data are there and everybody can visualize, or if you want, the data is not available to you, so that's a challenge. So we'll see one by one. So growing volume of security data is obviously, nowadays we have seen Gen AI. I don't know how much data it is going to produce and what are the security in terms of those data. It's totally new challenges, right? So what drives generating or growing new data, right? On-premises cloud, then modern architecture like microservices architecture, serverless, it generates enormous data, right? It was not there down the time 10 years before, but now it is data are generating, and it's almost explosion of data. We have different kind of now endpoints also, kind of mobile, IoT, and a lot more, right? So that's again various kind of endpoints. What we want is, it's very difficult when we have various kind of data, we miss some visibility and observability. We have data, security data for machine learning and AI that we have seen today. I think nobody talked about Gen AI security, but yes, it is a challenge, right? That's why data zone probably, I think Swami has mentioned, that's very important. The visibility of the data should be that much only that people want to analysis, we will not expose the complete data. Based on the permission only, the person can get visibility of the data. Now we are not talking about petabytes data. Probably down the time, maybe down the time 1 or 2 years, we are talking about exabyte of data, right? That's probably challenge. So growing data is one of the biggest challenge. And once data grow, what challenge we are facing? Ingestion of the data, right? There are a lot of endpoints, servers, microservices, and hell of the things. Everywhere we need to ingest the data, right? That is a challenge. Once you ingest the data, second problem is storage, where you store the data, right? And then once you store, probably we wanted to process the data. So everywhere this is a very, very big challenge, right? So we'll see that. Second challenge is inconsistent and incomplete data. What do we mean by inconsistent, incomplete data, right? Data are there, but once volumes grow, what challenges will be, important. Microservices application data will be in different format. Lambda will be different format. My syslog is in different format. My even, RDS or maybe database logs are different format. Audit logs are in different format. So everywhere, different formats are there. So my data is in the nature of heterogeneous actually, right? It's not common data. Because, if it is a common data, a structured common data structure, it is very easy to analyze. But if it is not structured, then what should be done? There is a problem, right? So what you need to do is every time you need to normalize the data. Different logs are coming, different way it is coming. Then you have to normalize so you can analyze, right? That is a problem. Now, with cloud, we have multi-account architecture, multi-cloud architecture, hybrid architecture. Everywhere the data formats are different. Every cloud has its own format of collecting the data or formatting the data. So that is again a challenge with multi-account and multi-cloud and hybrid clouds. This is very important actually. Everywhere it is very important. Lack of direct ownership of the data. So what does it mean? Very, very important. Let's say you have taken for security visibility, for some of the data you are using one, let's say Splunk, on some of the data you want New Relic or maybe multiple things, even AWS also. Then what happens? The data will be with the service provider, right? Someday you want that data I wanted to process with AWS, or AWS data I wanted to immediately process by Splunk or New Relic. You can't do that, right? The data is gone. It is with them only. It is not easy to process the data. The whole of the migration should happen. And we are talking about, terabytes and petabytes of data. So it's not easy. Or possible but not easy way, correct? And data are isolated. New Relic have its own format. It is isolated. They have their own security terms, access terms, right? So, and some limited accessibility of API. I don't say we don't have at all visibility. Yes, they do provide API, but then it's a limited. We can't do apart from whatever the API they have provided. So somewhat my data are isolated. If I wanted to generate something, it's difficult for me, right? So we don't have effective control because data are in different format or different company own the data, even it is your data. You own the data, but the visibility or data ownership, somehow it is passed on to that company. So that is a challenge, right? These are the three major challenges that we thought of, or AWS thought of, and then, let's see how they derived security lake. So a lot of security people, expert, come together and they try to find out what are the challenges, these are the challenges, and we wanted to address these are the challenges. So first is what we want. Centralize and normalize log access entire enterprises, right? So we wanted to centralize kind of storage. We want normalize in terms all data have standard format, correct? And we wanted to store that in single store. So that's called centralize and normalize log access, right? So that is the first need to challenge that first question. Second, this is a problem actually. Many of you might have heard, right, or might have come across. We wanted to process the data for 3 years. But what happened? Where do we store the data? So what we do is we limit ourselves. Okay, we'll process 1 month data only. The cost of processing 3 months data, retention of the data will cost us a lot, right? So due to the cost, probably we reduce our invisibility. 1 month, 7 days, or 3 days, or 1 day even sometimes, right? When we're generating 10 terabytes of data, one of our client is generating 10 terabytes of data per day. Now the cost you can think of, 1 year storing the data is enormous, right? It's not easy. So what we need to do? Compromise, right? We need to do compromise. So that's long-term retention and manages the storage cost. That is a problem, right? And freedom of choice for analytics. That's very important. Today I'm using maybe AWS analytics. Tomorrow I wanted to use Splunk. Maybe after 1 year I wanted to use maybe something else, right? So what will happen? I want any analytics can use my data without transferring. Sounds good? These are the, expert want based on our challenge. and what they started even, right? Let's try to understand. So by that time, before Security Lake, actually, AWS has also, introduced way back Data Lake. So there you have some visibility of the data, you can control certain data, and a lot of things cheaper also, and some API-based access also. So data lakes are very good for any kind of data. So people started experimenting on data lake. Security data, they bring on data lake, and they started working on that, right? But what they need to do? You need to manage a lot of things, data pipeline, volume of the data, changing data, data conversation, retention, a lot of things, data isolation, permissions, right, everything. Some of the things are provided by data lake, but it is purely for data, not for the security data. Security data have some different thing, right, different ask. So data lake, people started with data lake, and what they, the result is more data wrangling than the analysis. So they were spending more time to actually processing the data, ingesting the data, storing the data instead of analytics, right? Because it's a challenge in data. It's not easy because it's a security data, different kind of data. So it's a, they started the thing because there was no proper solution available. Now, so data lake people have started, but then it's a problem, right? It's not easy, but there was no solution. So what they did is they started on data lake. So what they want actually, first, they ask help solving data security management. So whatever the data we want kind of easy management. That is the first generally we thought of. These are the challenges. Now we wanted to manage security data. So first thing. Second will be efficiency, right? We don't want to just, wanted to focus ourselves to ingest the data, manage the data, secure the data. Instead of that, I actually want analytics from that. Some incidents report, that I'm interested, right? Something happened, some AI model I wanted to generate. Nothing like, just I'm spending 90% of my time to management of the data, not analytics, which is actually very important part, which is actually for that we are doing all the data management. That is problem, right? So, like, peace of mind, probably those are in security domain. Why this kind of services not exist? We want think of, right? Let me have that kind of services. So at least down the time, 4 or 5 years, I can be relaxed and I focus on analytics or some reporting or something on data, right? So the service which can provide majority 4 point, right? Automatically build your security lake in your account, not in other account, right? In terms of you have ownership of the data. So everything you process or ingest, it is in your data, your account, right? Or multiple account. We'll see like if I'll try to demonstrate some of the things you will understand. Centralize and normalize log collection. So that's very important. We already thought of this. Long-term retention and management of storage costs. I wanted to down my storage costs, right? Probably everybody know what is the best and cost-effective storage in AWS. S3, correct. So S3 is one of the easiest default choice for this kind of application. Data lake, right? S3 is in base. And the last is very important, right? I wanted to use my analytics tool, not because of some problems or because of the tied up, I am supposed to use particular analytics only because it is supported. No, I don't want that. I want my freedom, certain kind of data, or I can use multiple analytics tool also, right? Why should I restrict one? Maybe as and when required, I can go for any tools, right? That's very good actually, instead of keeping myself to single tool because of, kind of data formation. So let's try to understand what Security Lake provides us. Before coming to Security Lake, something called OCSF, that format is not actually created by or designed by AWS, but people come together, security company come together, and they define like OCSF format. This is the format where everybody agreed. As of now, as per my last count, probably around 200 companies are agreed to give some kind of tools or let's say tools only, to produce your data into OCSF format, right? So it's a standard. Everybody, it's a main standard. It can be in AWS. It can be anywhere, right? But this format will help us to normalize our data in Security Lake. So this is why. So what it provides, right? It's an open source project. So very good, right? It's open source, so nobody actually vendor lock-in. Then, because it is standard format, the conversion can be, people can generate, or people, company come ahead. We will give you the tool, you can transform your data in real time. Or you can use maybe your own logic to transfer your data in, OCSF format, right? This will help us to break down the silos, as we discussed, right? Some data are in New Relic, some data is AWS, some data is in probably Datadog, or some data in Splunk. So now it's not required, because Splunk can also run analytics on a data which is in OCSF format. Datadog can also do that. AWS can also do that. So I'm fine, right? What I need is now the other part. Normalization is clear, right? It's very easy now because of the format. So any environment, any application is not just limited to security, but it's made for the security, but it can be utilized in any other format also. So why it is unique? Some of the things we already discussed. It provides you well-defined, proper defined schema, how this conversion, what you required, this kind of data, what kind of label you have, once you converse, what kind of things you require, that it will precisely define. The schema is precisely defined. It's specifically security-focused data. It's not just random data. It is designed for security data, right? And the approach is modernized architecture. So what does it mean? It can be fitted to serverless also. It can be fitted to microservices also, container also, GenAI also, AI also, anything, IoT also, right? So it's a modernized architecture. And cloud native, right? That's a very important term, cloud native. And if you want, you can customize also and extend also. You can design your own plugins because it's open source format, right? Just for example, maybe New Relic, the design kind of a tool, so it can be easily converted into, OCSF format, correct? So it's easy and expandable. So everybody can make your own customization tool to generate, OCSF format. So Security Lake, now we'll try to understand what it provides. So again, whatever the problem we have understood, centralized data automatically from the cloud, right? On premises or anywhere. Optimize, efficient storage management, and one of the more important thing is query performance also, query management. So we'll see what are the, as of now, supported query management default available in AWS. You already seen OCSF format, so that's what we use for the normalizing the data. Analyzing, how to analyze the data, security data with permission and silos, that also we'll see. So these are the 4 major problems or major features they have come out with Security Lake. They are going to introduce many more because once evolved, it is last year only become a GA available and people started. Okay, before doing this, I hope everybody know AWS organization. That is the first step, right? You have to give AWS organization a dedicated Security Lake account, admin account for Security Lake, right? So that is basically first thing. If you don't have AWS organization in place in somehow, maybe landing zone or control tower or whatever way, right? It won't work. So you have to be first in place AWS organization, okay? So what is Security Lake? So primarily in base, it is S3. Like cloud formation, we have lake formation, so you don't need to do it yourself. It will be automatically done. Then Glue. Why we use Glue? Data cataloging, right? So whatever the data in S3 available, probably we have catalog and can be queried easily. And Lambda in some cases if you want incidence response. So one side what we required, ingest the data and normalize it. Second side is something called subscriber management. So that's very important. So we need to define a subscriber, and subscriber will consume our, the endpoints. And when you define a subscriber, you have a choice to define what data you wanted to expose, right? It's not like everything. Then we have our data will be there in S3, Lake, Open Cyber Security Framework we have already seen. And we can define a policy as it is centralized, but you define policies for retention. I hope everybody know S3 classes, right? So you can actually define the same thing over here, retention of the data. Let's try to understand ingestion of the data. So AWS log sources, as of now 50, it may be more. I don't know the recent count, but more than 50 security solutions can provide you ingestion of the data, including AWS and other, right? So it's now available. Maybe that counts increases in future, 50, 60, 500, 700, whatever. These are some of the services by default provides you ingestion of the data in Security Lake. You don't require to do anything. Just select services. The data is available in OCSF format, right? So tightly integration available for at least normalization will be done by the Security Lake services itself. There are a lot of AWS partners also provides like Splunk and Datadog and New Relic. They also given this kind of ingestion connectors. So you can get the data. If you have Splunk, they can also ingest the data. Or maybe a lot of other XDR, EDR, they also started providing ingestion of the data in OCSF format. And if your data, maybe old security data, IoT data, kind of a Modbus, or kind of a LoRaWAN, or maybe something else, right? So that have some totally different format. So what you do? Convert it yourself, right? So once you convert, probably it is available for analytics. So one part is ingestion part. Second part is storage, probably easy, Amazon S3 with data retention, right? So this is one side architecture. Now how you consume the data. Athena, probably everybody know, right? So query to the S3. So you can actually generate the table and query. Slightly not very good method for so much data actually, right? But yes, it is a method. Ad hoc query can be run and you can generate instead of waiting something to be integrated, right? So you can do that. OpenSearch is wonderful now, right? OpenSearch tightly integrated, tight integration available, or I don't say tight integration, but very well data pipeline already made. You are not supposed to create that data pipeline. Otherwise, what you need to do is you need to create cataloging glue also, right? You have to do that. You don't require to do that, right? So that OpenSearch is wonderful. SageMaker, obviously, I wanted to run so much data. I wanted to run my AI model, right? So machine learning or AI model, I can do that with SageMaker. That's what we are also doing, on our Security Lake offerings. Then a lot of AWS partners also now support to consume the data, provide the analytics, right, on this Security Lake data. So they also understand now, OCSF format and easily generate the analytics, right? And finally, if you wanted to be a partner of consuming data, provide the analytics, you can create your own custom, tools. You can be also in market, right? So you can do that. So I hope the architecture is very clear, right? So first part is defining how to ingest the data, problem solving, ingest the data, and normalization. Second part, the middle part, storage problems. The third part, the common analytics. And also Security Lake help us permission, right? You can define a permission. Anybody guess how it happens? Everything is, security data is in S3. Now how it happens, like different people or different consumer have different views. Any idea? S3 policy, correct, but something more. No, not IAM. I'll slightly simplify it. I have S3 bucket, one S3 bucket, and I wanted to give access one as a read only, the same bucket, everything. I don't require additional, sorry? No roles. It's a simple alias, S3 aliases. Same bucket can define different name, thousands of name you can have. And you can attach different policy to that S3 alias, right? So that is the way they are also using in S3, security lake. The policies, I agreed, but it's not, then that is flexible. You can attach a policy, you can give that, it is not flexible model, right? So S3 can give that alias, and you can have single bucket, thousands of name, each and every aliases have different policy. So that's easy, and easily manageable also, right? So that's the way, they have also managed over here. Fine. So overall, what we understood is S3, security lake, we have S3, we have kind of cataloging, automatic cataloging, glue, and normalize into OCSF format. So let me now play a video. Let me try just a minute. I recorded only how to create it, because to demonstrate the analytics part, I required multiple accounts, and I literally struggle how to hide those account part. So let's see this. So this is Security Lake dashboard. It's not playing. Maybe it's a local only, it should play. Okay, it started. Let me play it again. Yeah, so creating data lake. So you have, three things actually: log, select log and log event sources, then regions, and select account. So I think it is slowing a bit slow, jumping actually somehow. So this is select the log actually, event sources, whatever event source you want. This is objective. We wanted to, I think it is jumping somewhere. Don't know why. But anyway, you can select the region you wanted to include in security lake, depend on the region. Like some of the regions are selected. Or you can say all region, no problem. Right? And then accounts. So AWS organization help us to select the specific account or whatever account you are using, which is rare case, either all account or specific accounts. Once you create that, second is define the target object. So here this one of the things comes something called rollup. So you need to define rollup region, where you collect all the data to single region because of data consistency or sovereignty, right? So you can see my rollup region is single, and all other region I'm collecting data to here. And storage class policies, right? You can define, that, so I'm not explaining. Then once you say next, review, like as usual. Once you review, you can create. Yeah, so I jump into now directly, this is how you generate. This is, I think my time is up. So what I'll do is, I'll share this, slide available with, I'll share these slides as well as, videos also, so you can go through that. And I'll also put if possible, maybe down the time, I'll ask here to share you the link. So you can experiment this security lake also. Those who attended this probably, event, for them, we'll provide you maybe 15 days or 30 days access. That's what our Cloud KIDA is, right? So I'll give you free access for around 30 days. I'll give the documentation also how to create it, right? So the same thing what I did, I'll do that, right? And so 5 minutes, but we don't have much time, so I'll do that, right? So last, democratize your security data with security lake. That's the, what we want. So we can get the analytics part and everything what we want, right? So thank you. This is a LinkedIn page by Nilesh Wagela, right? You can connect me. Or if you want, I'm available there also, so you can connect me later stage also. I'm available full day. And we are implementing or started implementing security lake for few of our client for, so implementing a lot of things, experimenting a lot of things. So thank you all. That's all from my side.